and it's a type of alpha that cannot pick up on any other omega's pheromones unless they have a mutual attraction to one another. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing How to Deal When Your Intimidating Neighbor is Actually an Omega by Nikuya Inui. Before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiling this manga, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. For those of you who decide to stick around, let's go over some content warnings. There may be references to prejudice, sexism, specifically secondary sex, gossiping, blood, harassment, self-deprecation, slut-shaming, and mentions of rape, as these things do appear in the manga. But if that's good with you, let's go and get started. Kota is an alpha, but he's far from the average, sex-crazed alphas he's surrounded by day to day. Unlike his alpha peers, Kota doesn't react or even pick up on omega pheromones, leaving him unable to identify even the most apparent omegas around him. This lack of awareness has also left him completely uninterested in sex, which makes the never-ending discussions of omegas and bedroom activities painfully annoying. To make matters worse, it turns out his neighbor, who he thought was a dangerous alpha, is actually an omega. How did he find this out? His neighbor is in heat. Thankfully, Kota's willpower is strong, and he withstands the pheromones emanating from his neighbor, Ryunosuke. But Ryunosuke doesn't want a controlled alpha. He wants everything Kota is willing to give him. And thankfully, when given permission, Kota is ready to let go and finally indulge in everything he has been avoiding. However, when all is said and done, Kota wants more than a physical relationship, but Ryunosuke couldn't be more disinterested. Can these two find common ground, or is Kota destined for the friends with benefit zone forever? To start with, the art style for this can be very pretty, but it's also very inconsistent. Honestly though, with this title, I really don't care. Ryunosuke's design is everything. I'm a sucker for long hair, I adore tattoos and piercings, and Ryunosuke has all of that. Add in that he's a power bottom, and I am sold! I will say that while I like piercings, in this art style, Ryunosuke's piercing looks a bit weird in some panels. It's a lip piercing with a ball, and occasionally looks like a growth to me. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not my favorite. As for Kota, he's cute, but next to Ryunosuke, he's pretty plain. Now on to the story. I love it when the alpha is the inexperienced one in the pairing. Kota is a precious virgin that gets swept away by Ryunosuke, and I'm so here for it. But the reason Kota ends up being taken by Ryunosuke is specifically because of the type of alpha he is. This is an underexplored element of Omegaverse that I love to see, which is the additional hierarchy or types within each secondary sex. Specifically, we're dealing with something called an idiosyncratic alpha. This is wholly unique to this particular Omegaverse story as far as I'm aware, and it's a type of alpha that cannot pick up on any other Omega's pheromones unless they have a mutual attraction to one another. There is a suggestion that he can sense powerful pheromones, I suppose as a way to explain why he picked up on Ryunosuke's pheromones before they initially met, but I feel like it actually suggests that Kota and Ryunosuke were attracted to each other before they met. I love this. Why? Because both of them admit to seeing each other around, and each had different perceptions of the other. Ryunosuke assumed Kota was the standard sex-crazed alpha, and Kota actually thought Ryunosuke was an alpha. Yet, despite Kota being an idiosyncratic alpha, he could smell Ryunosuke's pheromones. That means Ryunosuke was attracted to Kota even assuming he was a sex-crazed alpha, and Kota was attracted to Ryunosuke even though he assumed he was an alpha. It's giving fated mates even though it isn't necessarily fated, and I am so about it. Now, as much as I love all of this all falls into the unfortunate problem of being too short to be a well-developed narrative. This is the textbook definition of a whirlwind romance. I do like it overall, but it does feel rushed. That's to be expected with these single volume titles, and I admittedly don't mind this all that much, but I think it's important to note since there's not going to be a ton of depth here. We get very little insight into who these characters are outside of how they are together, specifically on Ryunosuke's side of things. We get hints of things, and Ryunosuke does tell us that he feels most alphas are unfaithful, indicating that there might be a history of cheating in his past, but we just don't see it. I would love for there to be a sequel to this where we explore these characters more, but it is what it is. With all that being said, this was fun. I'm a sucker for Omegaverse, and I especially love when Omegas aren't your standard Omega. This takes it a step further and gives us an alpha that is also unlike other alphas, which is just a cherry on a delicious cake. It's not perfect, of course, but these single volume titles rarely are. Still, if you go in knowing it won't be a super deep story, and you're just looking for fun Omegaverse with yummy smut, this is a win. So, have you read How to Deal When Your Intimidating Neighbor is Actually an Omega? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? Let me know and comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!